stars singing, skies are blue. The world's awake, it's time for you. Start it right, you know it's true. Anson in the morning.
Good morning. It's time for Anson in the morning. I'm here, you're there. Let's get this done. Okay, so it's been a week, guys. We've been having some fun. The kids were on spring break, so I got to do a lot of fun stuff with them. We went fishing a couple days ago. Closest we got to catching they got nibbles, but I actually hooked one, kind of. And when I pulled it up out of the water, finally, after reeling it just a little bit, he slipped off the hook. But I saw him. He had a mouth, about like that big. He was ready to go. Man, almost had him. My son, David, looks over at me and he goes, "Dad, that's going to haunt you." These kids, where do they get this? So he's right. The rest of the day, I couldn't stop thinking about the one that got away, and oh shit, that's where that comes from. Okay. All right. Well, with spring break almost over, today the kids are off too, so they get an extra day. And after the show today, we're going to go back and try again, because I don't know what it is about fishing. I've never been good at it. I've caught one fish, maybe two in my life. So it's not something that I know how to do well. I like the patience of it. Where we live here in Northern California, we got a place out there. It's easy to get to from where I live. It's just, a mile down the road, maybe a mile and a half. It's called Dead Lake. Don't eat anything out of it. But you can catch, little bass and bluegill out there. So we were trying stuff and see what we could do. Like I said, it's fun. I don't know. I like to sit out there because then the trees, man, and it's just so peaceful, beautiful. The wildlife going by. It's in the middle of nowhere, and I don't know. I don't mind not catching anything. I don't. It's cool. I'm just out there. But when my kids are out there, you want to kind of, I want them to catch fish. That's what it is. I want to know how to do this well enough so that I can teach them how to do it. Because shit, who doesn't want to? I hope they take their kids fishing. Okay, so what else happened this week? We did that. My microwave got fucked up. I think somebody put a fork in it and didn't tell me, because the damn thing don't work. So I had to go out and buy a new microwave. Not a big deal. I'm going to set that up when we get back from fishing. What else happened? I think that's it. Except last night, guys, it was about, I don't know. I was making dinner. So it was around 5:00 yesterday. I get a text from a comedian friend of mine who does an open mic night. And he said, "Hey, we're doing this Easter thing tonight. Just open mic night." That's all he said. He just showed me an ad for it. He didn't say come down. He didn't say do anything. Well, I've got this little joke book here. As you guys know, I love my pens and pads and writing shit down. I've got this little notebook here. I've been working on jokes and stuff like that. So I don't know. Something just struck me in the head and said, "Hey, man, you need to go do this." So I got all dressed up and grabbed my joke book, and I went down to the local pub open mic night for the first time ever. Now, this is something stand-up is something I've been wanting to do. I've been fascinated with stand-up. So before I get into what happened last night, Eddie Murphy Raw, Sam Kinison, I saw Richard Pryor, not live, but my parents would watch these things on HBO. HBO was great for stand-up comedy specials. And then Showtime got into it. And so even more and more and more. So I was really exposed to a lot of stand-up comedy really young. My parents were into it. And I always thought that they stood up there and just, said whatever I didn't know they wrote this stuff. So as we go on, we get the Jeff Foxworthy's, which I don't know. I like that one tape of his. I don't remember what it was called. You Might Be a Redneck. That was what it was. And then Tim Allen's Men Are Pigs and Home Improvement. Those three specials are what they blew me away. I'd never heard people make jokes that you had to think about, and that double entendre and things like that. And then I started listening to George Carlin, and I bought George Carlin's book, Brain Droppings. Guys, one of the best comedy books out there. Just laughs from start to finish. But it was smart comedy. And like I said, I've never been exposed to that. So now that I'm really listening to this stuff and getting into it, it makes me want to do it. But I didn't know how to write it. I didn't know the process. I didn't know there was a process. I didn't know how you'd even start getting into it. It was just something I saw people do on TV. So fast forward in my 20s, I'm learning more about new comedians. I'm loving the process. I'm actually seeing now that there's structure to these jokes, that there's way they do things. So I'm learning. So I thought, you know what? What the shit? When I was driving taxi, I used to write down every little incident that happened that was a funny story, because there's so many funny stories when you're driving cab, dude. It's such a raw part of humanity that you see all the time. So why not write the stories down? Of course, names will be changed to protect the innocent, but I'd write them down, and I thought maybe I could turn this into a stand-up. Let me see if I can't structure stories to kind of follow, lead into the next. Let's find the funny in the middle. So I wrote this little thing. It's part of a bigger structure that I'm planning, but I thought I'm going to try out this little 4-minute thing. See if it lands at all. So I prepared this thing about the first time you walk in on your parents, right? And I'm not going to go into it here. It's just, I can't. And I thought tonight's the night to try it. Let's see what happens. So I show up, nervous as shit, guys. I put on, after I showered before I went, because I was cooking dinner. I made fried chicken last night, so I was greasy, and so I took a quick shower and came down here, put on deodorant, and then put on another layer because I knew I was going to sweat right through it. And took my joke book down with me and sat and waited for an hour for it to start, which that's the worst when you're just waiting. The nerves, man, the nerves. And now we work at a brewery, or it's a brewery where this place is. I used to work at. So they have great beer. So I had a beer, and I'm talking to some of my friends that are still there, and it helps relax me a little bit. And then the comedian comes in, Drake. And by the way, guys, Drake will be on PNS After Dark this Wednesday. So this is the guy that really said, man, come do this. There's a platform here for you to do it. Take a shot. So I did. Drake came in and he sat down next to me. He says, just let me give you a few tips for the first timer, which I've been watching a lot of these podcasts with comedians. So you kind of learn how it all works. You kind of learn where, you learn their story of comedy, how they write, and some of the behind the scenes baseball stuff. So when Drake was telling me, a lot of it I was familiar with, but I still appreciated the fact that he sat down with me and was like, this is the structure. You walk in, you don't say, hey, everybody, how you doing tonight? Every comedian's going to say that. You thank the MC and you go into your shit, so that was helpful. I think I forgot to thank him when I went up there, though. I was nervous, dude. So here it goes. He calls my name. Up comes our next comedian, Anson. Welcome him to the stage. It was about, I don't know, 10, 12 people in the room, which is average for that open mic in a small town of 6,000 people. I'll take it. So I go up and I get off stage. That's the memory of my night. I blacked out, man. I did my jokes. I remember hearing laughter for some of it. I remember talking. I remember the story came out okay, but I couldn't tell you where I was looking. I couldn't tell you the light. I couldn't tell you anything. It was just, it went by so fast. And it was nothing. It was a 4-minute bit, maybe, about 4 minutes. I tried to preface and add a little bit of meat, which I think was a mistake. I tried to give a little bit of history to the story. And what I didn't do was I didn't find the funny stuff in that first part of the story. I should have put that first part of the story, had a joke in there that led to the second part with the punchline. So I'm learning, but I didn't realize this last night. What I needed to do was I needed to tape the damn show so I could hear it again and rebuild. But that's okay. I think I kind of know where it went. But this was an amazing experience, guys. I can't believe that it took me 48 years of my life to get up on stage and do a stand-up thing. I've worked in radio. I've been in movies. I've been in so many plays I can't even imagine. I've always been an actor. So getting on stage doesn't bother me. In fact, I'm a stage whore. I love it. I love performing. I like telling stories. That's what I like about plays, is that, it's a story. You're sitting there and you're watching it, and it's not that it's live. The live adds to it, but it's not, oh my God, look at them remembering all their lines. No, it's, you're there. You feel like you're part of it. Movies have to do that with music and quick camera shots and shit like that. Plays don't. So I've always admired plays, but I've done some movies. In fact, I just did one a couple years ago called Bad Fish that was filmed up here in California. I just had a little part where you guys won't even recognize me. I had long hair and a beard back then. but it's called Bad Fish. I was one of the fishermen sitting in the cafe, talking about how all the mermaids ate up our fish. So it was pretty cool. So like I said, stage horror. I was even a child model. You won't know by looking at me. I was a fucking looker when I was young. So anyway, I've loved to do it. So I don't know why the nerves last night. I think it was because I'm not reading and interpreting somebody else's material. I'm writing and interpreting my own material. And I think that's what the nerves was. It's like, I know that if I go and I do a movie or a play, the script has been tested, it's been written, it's been performed before by other people. So it hits. When you're writing your own stand-up, you just don't know what's going to hit or not. You know, the joke might not land. And I'll tell you the truth, I got some giggles. I did not tear the house down last night. I did not murder. The audience was super grateful, which I appreciate. You know, they were encouraging. You know, there was no booze. There was a lot of silence, you know, and in 4 minutes, a lot of silence when you're doing stand-up ain't no bueno, you know. But they were gracious audience, and I appreciated that. I do remember getting off stage to some clapping, and it warmed my heart. I appreciated that very much, but I'm not going to rely on that. Now I've got to go and I've got to work twice as hard to actually, now see, I've already got the sympathy, right? Not the sympathy, but the, you know, oh, he's trying, he's doing his thing. That's over now. Now I have to prove it. And that's the hard part, because I just don't know what to write about next. You know, I don't know where's the next stand-up come from. You look at your life and you're like, oh, this crazy thing happened, but where's the funny? I don't know if I think like that. You know, I'm not really a stand-up funny guy. Like, I don't write funny things. But if we're in conversation, I'll rip your head off with insults, you know what I mean? Or I can snap back and give you a roast or two, or contribute a funny anecdote or whatever. But it's really few and far between that I've ever written anything that I've had to perform in front of anyone. So I appreciated the opportunity. I'm definitely going to try again. And if you guys are listening, and look, I'm almost 50. I'm going to be 50 next year. And I went up there on stage to do it for my first time yesterday. Listen, I'm not trying to turn this into a career. I don't want to be a professional stand-up comedian, but at the end of the day, guys, you got to think, if it comes to being creative and doing something that you really, truly love, what do you got to lose? What did I have to lose last night? If I bombed ridiculously and got booed off the stage, I'd come back here and rewrite again. So what did I get to lose? Nothing. And I'm learning that later in life when it comes to a lot of things. It was kind of like with me and Jacob in this podcast. Not the podcast, but our whole PNS Studios. He likes to tell the story that one night we're talking about doing a podcast. Like, you know, we should do this. He's like, how do we do it? I was like, well, we've got this and we've got that. He goes, okay, when should we do this? Let's schedule a date. I'm like, dude, let me go take a leak, and then we'll come back and we'll hit record. And here we are almost 3.5 years later. We've got 2 solid shows, PNS After Dark and this, that, you know, we post regularly. We've got a few other shows that are in the archives that we used to do. And with the summer breaks and, you know, everything going on with me not working anymore and being at home more and with a lot more to do, I really haven't had a chance to focus on those new shows. So that's on me, but I really do need to buckle down. There's a couple of, I've got one with a guy I know it's going to be a religious, you know, I'm an atheist. He's a dyed-in-the-wool Christian guy. So we're going to be able to knock heads a little bit and challenge each other. And I'm looking forward to that. So that's in production right now. I've got my notebook's down over there. I've got like 4 pages on it that I'm writing up, you know, the look of the show, the pace, how long it's going to be, all the little things, you know, what are the beats going to be during the show, which is funny, right? Because I can write a podcast, you know, I can write the beats for a show and set up our times and do all the stuff that we do for all the other shows. But it's hard for me to find the comedy beats. Like when I'm writing this stand-up, it's like, I don't know. I just can't find it. So I think it just takes more work. It's not something I'm practiced at. It's my first time. So there you go. We just got to get it done. All right, guys. I know it's not going to be a long show. I just kind of wanted to tell you my experience with doing the stand-up last night. So thanks for listening. What else? I was going to talk about one more thing, and I forgot what it was. That's okay. I'll remember, and we'll talk about it next week. Until next time, guys, remember, this is Anson in the Morning. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.